So, whether you're 80 like me or you're 40 like Nyna, music, I am sure, has touched your heart and soul. Who did you love the most? Who truly factored into how you formed yourself as a youth? And what does it mean to you today? I am shocked to say, but I'm saying it transparently. Music means as much, if not more, to me today than it did when I was 20 or 40. Touches me deeper, gives me more joy, gives me more deep emotions. So we want to tell you that this is one of the more fun 80/40s. And we're just like taking walks down memory lane. That's about it. But join us and then ask yourself, who meant the most to you as a performer?
Hello and welcome to the 80/40 Factor, where deep conversations bridge generations. I am Nyna Gilpin, entrepreneur and social media strategist, and I am joined by my ever glamorous co-host, the Diane Gilman. Now, Diane and I are 40 years apart in age, but we have a lot in common, and one of those is we're both quite passionate about music. I want to start off asking, Diane, what was your first concert that you ever attended?
I honestly, it wasn't like they were concerts. It was like maybe it was a Love In 1965, and there was Crosby, Stills and Nash. I remember snippets of life. Like I lived in Topanga Canyon, and there was a canyon store where you bought stuff like a loaf of bread, and Crosby, Stills and Nash were in there with their guitars, just screwing around, and it just sort of wasn't
The production
that way. I remember vividly the first time I heard a Rolling Stones song. And it was, hey, don't rain on my cloud, or don't sit on my cloud, or something. And I was on driving with a friend in my little beige VW on Sunset Boulevard, and that song started, and I screeched to a halt. And Sunset Boulevard is like pretty busy street, and we got out and started dancing in the street.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, and that was so profound to me, because the kind of stuff my parents wanted me to listen to was like, how much is that doggy in the window? All of this totally whitewashed purity kind of music, and I couldn't have cared less. I wanted to hear the bad girls stuff. I also remember when I first heard Tina Turner, and she was singing Mountain High. Yeah, produced by Phil Spector. And I remember it was like, what? Oh my God. You never heard a woman sing anything with that much energy in it. And it was so raw, and it was so powerful.
And it was like masculine, which I
Very
know is
much.
something very,
Yeah.
very controversial.
Yeah. Those were the kind of events, musical events. They were very private to me. I had to filter them around in my brain. And I remember my father walked into my bedroom, and I had a 4-poster bed, and I was dancing with one of the 4 posters to Mountain High, and he took the radio. It was like it had to be like 1955, and he smashed it to the ground and started jumping on top of it.
Sounds like a very costly mistake for that time period.
It was a statement, that's for sure. Music taught me I was never going to be the child they wanted. Not even close. And music also gave me, in its own way, an intellectual and an emotional way out of living in a household that was just so wrong for all of us. Yeah, music was the guide, music was the way out.
Yeah. When I was young, I had written down all of these lyrics like in a notebook to some songs I was hearing on the radio. but I was so young that I didn't know what the lyrics meant. And obviously I was writing a lot of things wrong, but I was just writing all these lyrics because I wanted to memorize them. And my dad had found like the notebook and was like, what is that? Like, what is this? What are you writing? And I was like, it's a song. I don't know. My parents actually were very lax on letting me listen to a lot of things, which is
I think
interesting.
society was different. I think what I came out of, like Connie Francis just died, and she was the one that did How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? And Where the Boys Are, which to me was always this kind of teary, soppy anthem to the fact that that's all you did with your life as a female. You were looking for a boy to attach to. And even as a really young girl, and that was about 1955 as well, I was thinking, nah, I'm not buying into this. I don't want this. And besides, it sounds so unhappy. Who would?
You know, I think that's one of the interesting things is what an effect music actually has on people, because it literally can change my whole day. Like if I'm having a bad morning, I can put on certain music and
Totally.
it changes everything. My whole mood shifts.
Totally.
And I know there's a lot of science behind that, but I don't know what it is.
But there's what really touches your heart, what you really think of as artistry. And I think that music also holds a place in you of very vivid memories.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What is this, like, what's a song you can think of that brings you back to some period in your life?
Sympathy for the Devil by the Stones.
And what period does that bring you to?
That was like when they did the Altamont free concert and people were killed by the Hells Angels. And I remember there was so much focus on the Stones and they were the bad boys, but the Beatles were the good boys. But I wasn't interested in the Beatles. I was interested in the bad boys. It was such a song of rebellion and dissatisfaction. And that was my bent. Yeah, I mean, that's where I went. I came from a very difficult household. I was really angry and rebellious a lot of my youth. They were the band that encapsulated that. They were the rebels. And I'm so blown away today. This week was Mick Jagger's birthday, turned 82. And it really makes me believe you can eat all the kale you want to eat and drink all the green juice you want. But it's really your spirit and your karma for how long you're going to live. Because we were talking about it yesterday. Keith Richards, the ultimate bad boy, 82 and still there. Ozzy Osbourne, 76 and just passed. Those are miracles. Those are forces of nature on this earth. And I think that when we were all young, none of us ever believed that these guys would live as long as they did, abusing their bodies the way they did.
Right.
But guess what? They did.
So I want to go into fashion a little bit. Now, I know you actually just had an episode where you talk about all of the artists that you used to dress, but
yeah.
I want to know what musical artist had the biggest impact on like fashion styles that you were mimicking throughout your life?
I think we have to go to my era, and I would have to say Jimi Hendrix, the Stones. It all came out of rock and roll. And when music got urban and it was rap, I checked out. I was too old already. You know, I was almost 50 and your mind is just on other stuff. And then when I see people who are in music today, like Beyonce or Katy Perry, or that whole stage presence is something very different from real life.
Right.
You know, they didn't used to follow music stars the way they do today. They weren't as invasive.
Right.
In their off time.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't be. It just, people were more private and there wasn't social media. So, you know, it was only interviews, or if you were on TV for interviews.
Yeah, or
whatever.
if you were at a concert like Woodstock. But when you think about some of the female stars, and it was mostly male, for a long time.
Right.
You never saw their downtime.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not so sure that Janis Joplin wasn't always wearing a feather boa day and night. You kind of got a glimmer of them. And it was also less about them as an individual megastar and more about community. So if you were going to dress in the second half of the 60s into the 70s, you know, maybe you were wearing Gunny Sacks by Jessica McClintock. So you were wearing, like, believe it or not, we're all walking around, not me. I couldn't get into that particular train of thought. You're wearing pioneer dresses with big Lego button sleeves and their ankle lengthened. I mean, it was like a whole Amish period, but it was linked to music and linked to love-ins and linked to flower children. And
you designed Lego Mutton shirts.
Yeah,
so
I
don't
did,
you
and
talk
I
down
actually,
on it.
but I didn't wear it. But I didn't wear it, and it was actually, I think, more homogenous.
Mm-hmm.
And then the interesting thing was, across the pond, England, Mary Quant had a totally different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And she was linked to a lot of the music that was happening over there, the whole British invasion. But hers were A-line mini dresses. Nobody had ever seen a hemline that short. And the simplicity of them.
Mm-hmm.
And she did makeup. And it was just wild. So you had two warring factions going on at once. The whole prairie look, which I designed into, so true, the cabal shirt, and the whole Mary Quant thing, which I actually designed into for my boutique. I'm a hog for you, baby, in LA, and they were all those A-line dresses. But the fashion revolution did not link onto one particular star. It was a whole feeling of freedom, expression,
Right.
self-expression.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my arrow definitely was more like mimicking exact things.
Yeah.
I can definitely remember, well, in the early 90s, I wanted to dress like Madonna, which obviously I was very young, so I did not. But that was very, I remember that very distinctly as wanting to look like her. Actually, one of our posts that we did on 8040's Instagram was we were asking people to share what fashion trends they've done that they now regret. And someone said it was the Madonna bracelets. And I was like, oh, I remember them so clearly.
Or how about the pantyhose with big holes in them?
Yep.
And, yeah.
For sure. I actually ruined a pair of my mom's pantyhose and she was furious. And then the other one that somebody commented was actually the low-rise jeans with the thongs underneath, which I have a distinct memory of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera wearing that.
And very interesting, that set off my whole denim career at HSN and Teleretailing and QVC. Was her and Justin Timberlake she was wearing a denim evening gown, full-length evening gown, and he was wearing a denim tuxedo. And it was like, for me, it was like, holy, here is the door opening. I recognized immediately when I saw denim interpreted that way, and I was just starting the jean on HSN.
Yep.
Here's the doorway with the light showing through. And it was huge kickoff, because then Balmain and Balenciaga, everybody, and Dolce & Gabbana, they were doing $10, $12, $15,000 embellished jeans. Incredible. I used to go to Milan just to go into those stores and see the craftsmanship of the embellishment. Mind-boggling.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even still, it carries on still today. You can get this heavily embellished denim and craziness that's like Swarovski crystals.
It's all starting again too, because there's nothing new. So they're trying to circulate. Like they
Mhm.
brought out the latest Chloe bag, the same Balmain bag. Well, why do you need to buy a new one when you could just wear your old one? So, everything that goes around comes around.
Yeah, even though ever since you talked about the Pharrell Williams Louis Vuitton stuff, I've definitely been looking at all of that. Jeweled. Oh,
Obsessed.
stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Tragic.
But did you ever, like, did you have a period where you were attending concerts regularly? I know that you used to date someone who was in the industry when
I
you were young.
dated, I was with a rock and roll disc jockey, big one in San Francisco. Yeah, we used to go to Grateful Dead. That was a
Mm.
lot of backstage passes, and Sly and the Family Stone, and Gracie Slick and the Jefferson Airplane. And it was interesting because last night I was watching one of my favorite movies ever, Almost Famous,
Mhm.
about being a groupie
Yep.
during that whole time period
Yep.
where everything was so personal and small scale, and you're traveling the country on a broken down bus, and uh, I really relate to that movie and to the power of music.
Mhm.
Wow, people just want to lose themselves in music. And I'm the same as you. If I'm getting up in the morning, I will go to TikTok and turn on my favorite feeds
Mhm.
for music from the 70s, the 80s, even into the 90s. And each decade has just a different, deeply personal experience for me to have all over again.
I just had I was logging into YouTube from, I don't know, a different window in my computer or something, and it actually pulled up an old YouTube that I had from like 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and it was just like, oh my god, it was so much music I forgot about that I used to listen to, and it just was bringing back like so many memories. It's so crazy how music can directly relate to a period in your life. It's just so like I have so many things where somebody will be like, "Remember that time we went to blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." But if you play a song from that period, I'm like, "Oh, I remember everything."
How much it grabs your heart
Hmm.
if it's really your kind of music. Like
Yeah.
somebody who I'm always afraid is just going to get forgotten is Donna Summers.
Hmm.
And just some of the music she made was so evocative of me, going to Studio 54 and how much that changed the tenor of New York and changed my life and showed me who I could be and what I really loved. It was almost like magical.
Hmm. I hold concerts at such a high like ring in my life right now. It's so important to me. And I'm not huge on like labels for clothing brands and things like that because I'm someone who likes to spend all of my money on experiences. So it's either travel or it's concerts. Like those are the things I spend the most money on for sure. But it's like so important to me, and it's like one of those things where when I see somebody that's coming to town, I have to go. If I don't go, I feel like I'm going to think about this forever. Like I'm going to constantly be like, oh, I should have gone to that concert.
Like I remember having to work in the summertime and fly to London. And I was out shopping on Sloane Street on my way to Harvey Nichols, high end department store, kind of like Bergdorf Goodman's in New York. I'm in London. And then on to Harrods. And every boutique owner, the real famous ones too, all they brought their TVs in from home, like little 15-inch TV, really, 15 inches of depth to it. Had them set up outside on the sidewalk, and it was a Live Aid's concert. Every store I went into, it was a different band. It might be David Bowie, it might be Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones, it might be Freddie Mercury and Queen, and I will never forget that day. Now, part of the reason why I don't have a lot of concert experience is crowds freak me out
Yeah.
completely. But this was one of those very particular events, and you were in the city that was generating it, and you were seeing it in such an odd way on these little TV screens. But then people had like speakers hooked up, so the music was there wherever you were walking. And some of the music, like Freddie Mercury, and some of the concert performers, you were you were never going to have an experience like this again. You didn't even dream of it. And so I have to hook that up to my whole musical, emotional side of me.
Yeah. Is there any music that that's current that you find yourself being interested in?
Not really. I don't really. I like visually. I can see a little bit of it in the female performers. I'm just at an age where everything about music is usually about first experiences.
Yeah.
First kiss, first date, first sex, first whatever, first heartbreak. And you're so completely separated from that if it's not about you, you just sort of don't. And then people that I would never, like Tom Jones, where I would never have been caught dead listening to as a young adult. I kind of, going back in time and hearing him, it's like I can appreciate him now. Even Elvis, I'm not sure that I totally appreciated Elvis when I was young. I kind of thought, I don't know. And especially the Vegas years, sort of manufactured and fakey. And now I go back and think, God, the guy was just born a genius. Born, and love some of the songs and want to hear them over and over again. So I think I don't pick up on this era, but I go back to my era all over again and pick up on what I didn't have room or motivation to appreciate at that time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, and that also kind of lends itself to either being into like melodies or lyrics, because for me, if it's lyrical that I'm attracted to, it definitely has to be my era of like in my teens to 20s that I want to listen to it. But the only time I really find myself interested in current music is because there's some kind of a melody that I'm drawn to for some reason. So it's not actually the words that I'm connecting to anymore. It's more about the actual sound of the music that I'm connecting to. It's
like one song that completely passed me by in the early 90s was Radiohead, Creep. That
so good
song, I only became aware of it about 10 months ago from TikTok, and I'm just obsessed.
Oh, it's a beautiful song. I love it.
Obsessed with it and how each artist interprets it so differently.
Yeah.
And that's not even current. That's from the 90s. So that's like 30 years old. So now we all know where I'm at. Music will forever be evocative to me of memory, of experience, emotional states I was in. I cannot wrap myself around rap.
Well, I'm obviously a rap and R&B fan.
Oh, I know you are.
So let's close this out with my question, which is, if you were going to build your dream concert of artists, dead or alive, what 3 artists would you pick, or bands?
Janis Joplin, Mick Jagger, probably, believe it or not, Ozzy Osbourne.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised.
I loved him much, much more. I was never totally heavy metal, but I so deeply respect. And I might make it Tina Turner. Yeah, I'm going to split Ozzy Osbourne and Tina Turner because the industry, the world, lost a huge talent with her. And it's just amazing to be at an age where these people survived as long as they did and just aged out. That was it. right? You
Yep.
can't have an 80-year-old body and be dancing around the stage and screaming the way she did.
Right.
Yeah, those would be, and they're all super powerful performers. But I think the fascination with Ozzy Osbourne was also inventing a whole niche business of heavy metal. He was really the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Probably didn't even know he was doing it. Then he was like just so charismatic that I found the reality show obnoxiously hysterical. Sharon! And, you know, she became a talent in the industry of talk shows and the Fashion Police and The View all on her own. And it was just sort of this amazing family. And I would tune in and tune out. Those would be it.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest fascination would definitely be with Mick Jagger,
Mm-hmm.
who is so careful with his health, exercises 2 times a day, goes into a dance studio he has twice a day and keeps himself limber and alive. And for somebody who was as rebellious as he was,
Mm-hmm.
to turn around and be, maybe to me, one of the biggest voices of living your life to the fullest, but anti-aging, aging correctly with total, just transformational discipline. That's really fascinating to me.
My 3 would be Taylor Swift, but old Taylor Swift.
Really?
Not her new stuff. I like her new stuff, it's good, but I love her older stuff. So Taylor Swift.
Why do you like it?
Well, first of all, she's an incredible entertainer. Like, her concerts are so good. It is the pure entertainment factor, but there's a lot of her songs that I've always been really drawn to, and I think it's just, she writes all of her songs, like,
Yeah.
everything. And so I think there's an extra emotional factor in there because she writes everything that I really connected to probably like 10 years ago. I'd say that was like the era when I really liked her, was about 10 years
Her
ago.
audience is like 95% female, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's always about dating and losing,
loss
and
and
love lost, and yeah.
So Taylor Swift and then Whitney Houston.
Oh, for sure.
I'm so sad I never got to see one of her concerts.
You know what? I guess I came into the medium of television and it was okay to see it across a screen. She was such an entertainer.
Yeah.
And to blow it all on blow, on drugs, that was so pathetic.
Yeah,
to
it was
me.
really
Wow.
sad. It was really sad. I've watched so many documentaries about her. And
me too.
Them following her through concerts and things like that, and just I would have given anything to see a concert, even at the end when she wasn't great. I would have settled for that for sure.
Really?
For sure. And then my 3rd would be Michael Jackson.
Oh, without a doubt. And I watched that incredible documentary about him, and I thought was so amazing was his father coming back to him and saying, you can't leave your brothers behind, like trying to block him from doing all the new material.
Yep.
But I think where he really got me was Billie Jean. You can't not dance, right?
Such a good song.
Wherever you are, you have to be, even if it's just mentally dancing to that. And the pure inspirational brilliance of his performances. And I remember somebody saying to me, he is a Fred Astaire of his times. Like, you couldn't not just think the guy is a genius dancer. And then the whole thing of music videos, which he really changed completely. And
made them theatrical.
And
they were
and
movies.
Visual, and the makeup.
Thriller.
And Thriller was just
so good.
Amazing.
When Thriller came out, I was very young.
I wasn't.
I have an older brother, and he used to be terrified of it. And he would go screaming out of the room, and I would just be sitting there like watching it. Oh my God, Thriller was so good.
Did any of you guys try and do all the dance moves?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's with pretty much everything my whole life. I've tried to do dance moves. It's very sad. It doesn't look good, I promise.
And I thought that also Michael Jackson really was so in control of his business and his fame and the growth of it. And then it just seems like, we'll mention Whitney Houston in with this, it just gets out of control.
Yeah.
It gets too big. It becomes a burden. And it becomes intensely self-destructive.
Right.
And I guess you just cannot at some point say, I'm just going to walk away from that.
Yeah.
You're so used to leading a kind of life and you can't stop it. It's like a runaway freight train. Because him at the end was just so scary.
Yeah, it was. It was really scary. Yeah. Every time I saw him, I was just like, what is going on? Turn it around. All right. Let's
I liked Frank Sinatra too.
That's who I thought was going to be in your third.
No, well, then that's not fair because I need more people in my concert. I'm older.
What a surprise!
I need more people.
Diane's concert can't just be 3, of course.
It can't. But Frank Sinatra, in his really great years when he was about 50, I just thought, whoa. He came right back in after being at the very lowest to being super cool guy again. And the music was so romantic, so smooth. And he had such an incredible lineup of musicians behind him and such a confidence level. Yeah, I have to add Sinatra.
All right. So everybody comment below, what are your 3 people or artists or bands or whatever, dead or alive, that you would create the perfect concert?
You can have 5 people like me.
Fine, you can have up to 5. 3 to 5. All right. 5's the cutoff. So comment below what yours are, and we'll see you next time on the 80-40 Factor.